It's like GPS for your life, the Sky Vibe Show. Thank you for finding us again, or maybe you're new. It is the Sky Vibe, and I am Judi.Diamond, along with professional astrologer Thomas Miller. You know, there were some friends of mine that had some interesting things to say that were of more religious backgrounds that loved the show. And I thought, you know, what do you worship? What is your spirit? What do you do? Do you worship? And I said, I don't worship astrology, but let's talk about that.
Well, this is great because we titled this episode Worshiping Astrology. Mm-hmm. And what I'm here to say is don't.
Yeah, that's like saying worship an idol, you know, I mean, unless It's Jason Momoa, I'm not going to worship
And with that, you'll just have to talk to the Lord your own self.
Exactly.
But the point I wanted to get across on this is we're just introducing ourselves and people to astrology, that some might be taking a look at this for the first time with an eyebrow raised. And thank you for looking at it. Thanks for even just checking it out. But I know that anything like this can have perceptions of cultism or worship, or that we are creating this idol of some sort, that people are going to get distracted from their own spiritual path. And notice I said spiritual and not religious path. There is a difference. And astrology is a tool, I believe, created by God. And some people, you know, in some circles are not comfortable with God in that concept. They've been burned. They've been hurt. I was hurt growing up. I was. But to come to realize that there is this higher power, this higher source. And astrology is a created thing. The planets, the earth, etc., created. And it's just a system of looking at where they are in the sky. That truly is all astrology is looking where the planets are in the sky. They have meaning. Each one of those has meaning.
And I love that you do say time and time again on your podcast, and by the way, Fun Astrology is one of them, Old Soul, New Soul. Thomas has so many great podcasts. And you say from time to time how much you believe this is not an accident, that it is a God thing. I think the difference for me is, for the tool, it's just one of many tools I use. Tree hugging. I am a tree hugger. I believe in grounding, and that's a tool, but I believe God and spirituality is all connected, and that God isn't way up here, although I do believe in Sky Vibe. He is, and she is up there, but also right here. And it's a tool to get to the God in here, in me, inside of me, that collects all of us and connects all of us.
Yeah. That's I love the tree hugger. I'm a tree hugger too. I'm an unapologetic tree hugger. I was living in North Carolina. There's nothing but trees on those mountains. And man, I would have a blast in there just hugging a tree. Well, is that worshiping the tree? No.
I mean, in a way though it is, and I don't mind that. It's not worshiping it as an idol. It's saying, I'm grateful for this tree.
It's expressing love.
Yes. Yes.
It's expressing love for another living being. Mm-hmm. And we can do that without worshiping. Like the tree did not at all knock me off my spiritual game and cause a diversion from true source, from God. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Neither do the planets. And to me, it's basically kind of the same thing. I mean, we are observing what God created in a marvelous, incredible way. And how in the world, we mentioned this in some of our previous episodes, did all those planets in our solar system align themselves around a perfect circle? Was that random?
I don't think so. I think it was definitely something bigger. And you know, with the word worship itself, if you look to really what is the true that I've read from what Jesus said, what Buddha said, none of them wanted to be worshipped.
That's true.
God said, you're in the image of me. Be next to me. Don't worship me. I think there is something about that word, which is why I'm glad we used it in the title.
Well, so if you open yourself up to taking a look at this objectively, and you're not afraid that it's going to be some demonic kind of thing, what you learn is that it is an incredible system that came to us thousands of years ago, And I think it was given. That's just my own personal perspective, and I'm not right, and nobody was here when it happened. But I just think that it is something that was divinely given to us to help us understand our path better. And that's what
Totally
it does.
agree.
It helps us understand each other better. I know your sign is a Leo. My sign is a Scorpio. And there are different ways that Scorpios and Leos can communicate together on a higher path and a higher vibration and a higher dimension. Or you can take a lower path and react and respond in a way that could trigger each other. But understanding our perspectives and how we see the world and how we process information, if I come to you on your terms instead of my own, or I respect and know your terms, and I know that there is a characteristic of you that wants to be out there, and you're in a perfect place for the sign that you were born under, Leo, behind a microphone, perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And I can relate to you in that perspective. And there are so many elements of it, and when you start to peel that first layer, the layers of it never stop. And that's why we come back to this saying that a lot of astrologers use: you can't make this stuff up. It truly is incredible.
So true.
Yeah, it is.
It really is. It really is. And you can't, it's interesting that you say that about us coming together, because I know now, just from listening to your shows all for the last 2 years now, I've learned enough about a Scorpion energy. And I also know your rising and your other
Gemini,
signs, but I know enough to know, I know that what I need to do, because I know I'm impulsive and I get these ideas in it. But I know Thomas is so calculating and he's so good at putting everything together. And I know it's going to all be good.
Well, and the thing about our charts that both of our charts show is we are communicators. So this is a very natural thing for us, is to be doing what we're doing, and it just flows. But there are things that we are not as well, and that chart can just emphasize that. And what you can do is let that go and not try to be how you're not wired.
So true. Be who you are. And by the way, speaking of worshiping, this is a sports town that I'm living in now. I came from LA that was not huge sports. They have sports, but it's not like here in the Midwest where it is. You talk about worshiping teams. I've seen more worship of teams than in any other kind of religion that I can think of. And that always surprises me.
We humans, we have to have structure, but part of that structure is that we have to have things to worship. And I mean, anybody who has attended a church or a synagogue knows that there are things of worship, items of worship in the church, right? Or in the synagogue. How political can churches and synagogues be?
All religions.
So it's everywhere. There's no separation between just studying the sky to give us guidance in our life and all of the games that we play in other places. There's no separation. So that's my message. Don't worship astrology. Worship God. Be on your highest path. Connect to source how you perceive it. You got to answer to yourself for your own spirituality, but don't run from it. Embrace it. Here's a tool. Maybe it doesn't click for you. That's great. For a lot of people, it does not. They just can't grasp it. They try, they stay interested, and it's like, I just can't figure it out. And that's fine. Maybe some other methods, like you talked about earlier, are more appropriate for you. But for some people, it's a hand in glove, and they just go, wow, this is truly amazing.
Thank you so much for finding us. We hope you stick around and subscribe. And you can always find Thomas Miller on his podcast as well, Fun Astrology, Old Soul, and so forth. Again, thank you so much for being a part of the Sky Vibe.